So Mesolithic 2, it says pottery artist in Germany, identification I0046, Saxony, Anhalt, Germany. The image you see there is not of this skeleton. It's how traditionally the linear pottery culture would be buried. My skeleton's burial was a tragic mass pit where she was found. So let's have a look. So this sample, also known as HAL5, belongs to the mtDNA haplogroup T2C1D in things EF, frequently simplified as T2C1 in broader databases. The exact designation T2C1DEF is a highly specific notation used in modern mitogenome trees to show a shared ancestral branch that links the subgroups D, E, and F under the broader T2C1 family tree. Why this haplogroup matters for her story: the Near East connection. Haplogroup T2, and specifically its downstream branch T2C, originated in the Near East or Eastern Mediterranean around 11,000 to 21,000 years ago. Its presence in her DNA confirms her maternal ancestors were part of the major Neolithic migration of early farmers who travelled from Anatolia into Europe, a rarity for the region. While other Neolithic haplogroups like N1A and K were incredibly common among the local LBK farmers at Halberstadt, T2C1DEF was highly unique to her in that specific context. Confirming the outsider status, the fact that her maternal lineage was so distinct from the surrounding local population aligns perfectly with the tooth isotope data, proving she belonged to an entirely different, non-local group before she was captured. The connection between the ancient woman's maternal lineage, the T2C1DEF, and the ancient haplogroup J1C3, which is mine, is that they are close evolutionary cousins. They share a direct maternal ancestor, a single woman who lived thousands of years ago, and they travelled into Europe along the exact same prehistoric migration routes. The 2018 bioarchaeological analysis of Halberstadt Sonntagsfeld by Meyer et al. Provides a highly detailed, grim look at the final moments and lifetime of woman I0046 or HAL5. The skeleton and graves surrounding her, the pit. The skeleton was found in a circular, unlined settlement pit, roughly 2 meters wide. It was not a cemetery, it was a makeshift trench used to quickly conceal bodies. Her bones were structurally well preserved but disorganized and tangled, with 8 adult males. The bodies were thrown in haphazardly at various awkward angles, some prone, some supine, with limbs twisted over and under one another, proving they were dumped carelessly. The grave context. The grave surroundings were entirely devoid of dignity. There were no grave goods, ornaments, or ritual offerings. The soil surrounding her only contained small broken shards of pottery and animal bones, the standard everyday trash of the local village used to backfill the pit. How she died. She was executed under highly controlled conditions, they think. The lethal blow. Her skull, along with those of her companions, bore a distinct mark of perimortem blunt force trauma, precisely to the back of the head. The weapon. The impact was delivered using a heavy close-quarter shock weapon typical of the LBK culture, most likely a polished stone shoe-last adze, a type of stone axe. The scenario. The standardized uniform positioning of the skull fractures across the victims indicate this was not a chaotic battlefield death. Instead, she and the men were likely captured, bound, or forced to kneel and systematically struck down from behind. Some skeletons in her pit also showed defensive postcranial injuries, including broken arm bones and cut marks on the ribs, suggesting a struggle occurred prior to the execution. What her life would have looked like. An immigrant lifestyle. Strontium and oxygen isotope testing of her teeth revealed she was not from Halberstadt. She spent her childhood in geographically distinct region, potentially an upland area or a different settlement system altogether, before migrating into the Mitteleb Saal region later in life. A different diet. Carbon and nitrogen isotopes show that her community ate a distinctly different diet from the local Halberstadt farmers. While the locals relied heavily on uniform, locally grown crops, her diet reflected different agricultural or foraging practices. As an early Neolithic woman, her day to day life would have revolved around the grueling physical demands of early farming. This included grinding grain on stone slabs, querns, planting crops, tending livestock, and manufacturing the intricately incised linear pottery that defines her culture. She lived during the Schultz and Talheim phase of the late LBK, a period known to archaeologists for intense, systemic intergroup violence across Central Europe. Her life likely ended because her immigrant group came into severe fatal conflict with the local Halberstadt community, resulting in her capture and ultimate execution. Next up are my ancient DNA matches, Mesolithic 2 still, ceramics maker in China, Boshan 11, Shandong, China. My DNA match 0.34% genetically closer to the sample than 23.4% of other genome link users.